Hey everyone, this is Charles May, and this is my forum entry for What Did Job Learn in the Hebrew Bible 2 online course for Chicago Theological Seminary. Um, so the two questions I have to answer are: what do I think that Job learned in his eponymous book, and what do I think? How do I think that contemporary readers, what could they take from Job today? Well, there are a number of things that you could say that Job learned. To be rather flippant, I could say that Job learned that if you're faithful to God, the people that you love around you are going to die. Um, but I think that a lot of what Job learned was to remain faithful even in the light um, of horrible actions. Job's wife tells him, curse God and die. But Job doesn't curse God. He curses the day that he was born, or he laments the day that he was born. He laments many things, but he doesn't really put the fault on God. Um, he knows that he's a righteous man. He kind of wonders maybe what he may have been able to do differently uh, to bring about or to have avoided this um, hardship. But he doesn't curse God. He doesn't say God is doing this to me. Even though his friends come in and say, you must have done something awful. You must have done something horrible to have admit your sins, admit what you did. Um, but Job doesn't curse God, doesn't take God to task. So I think he kind of learns, um, to to accept that sometimes things are out of your control. I think that when you're looking at verse or chapter 42 verse 6, he's kind of repenting. When he says that he's repenting of um, the coming about after the discourse with God, and he kind of learns to humble himself. And I think that's kind of one of the things that he may have actually really learned is that although he was a pious man, although he was a upright and wise before the Lord, he had a tendency. He could have been smug. He had a largesse. He had lots of livestock. He had lots of servants. He had 10 children who feasted regularly. And that was one of the things that I noticed is that they constantly held feasts for each other. They would go to each other's homes and have these big elaborate feasts. Which I suppose could be a way of celebrating their good fortune, but it could also be a way of flaunting their wealth. And so perhaps one of the things that Job may have learned was to be a little bit more humble before God, to realize that um, without God, his successes, his wealth, are meaningless. Um, so he repents of his despair. And with regards to how contemporary readers can read it today, I would read it as a story of being faithful. Yes, you hear about the patience of Job, but you also, a reminder that a greater reward is coming. Oftentimes you may not hear people talk about receiving their eternal reward or their heavenly reward. But just to remind you that the pain in life, the hardship in life is temporary. Um, I had an interesting experience where I had within the past year and a half, where I used Job as an analogy when my ex-partner's mother was involved in a house fire and was badly injured. She survived, but his father came over to our house for dinner, and he he was very upset emotionally, and so I told him, I'm like, just remember, Job suffered greatly in the Bible, but ultimately came out on the other side much better off than he was before his trials and tribulations. So I think that that is what we can take from it is that the trials and tribulations of this life are temporary. They fade away. Even if how they fade away is through death, they will end. All the pain and the suffering. Uh, but I think a lot of people also um, can use Job as more justification for prosperity gospel type stuff, prosperity gospel rhetoric, where if you're righteous in God's eyes, He will reward you. I mean, even if He has to punish you or put you through the ringer a little bit, um, that He ultimately rewards those who are positive in His sight or proper in His sight. Uh, there's one thing I found interesting though is that there are instances throughout the Old Testament where God regrets some of the things that He's done. He kind of tells Noah that he regrets destroying the world with a flood. Um, you know, and I what I never saw, when you're reading the God's speeches, and God is God, so I suppose he has every right to come across as slightly arrogant, but didn't see anything that I interpreted as an apology to Job. Um, you know, so it's like, who are you to question me? Where were you when, were you there when I created the world? Were you there when I set the world in motion? Were you there when I fought Leviathan and Behemoth? But who are you to question God? Which is, I guess another thing, don't question God. Although I think as theologians and seminarians, we question God all the time. Anyway, so that is my posting for the Job's What Did Job Learn forum. So I look forward to reading your comments. Hopefully you all will be able to actually view this, and I'll see your comments soon. Talk to you later. Bye.